Now, the Air India Express flight makes a hard landing at Phuket Airport while all passengers remained safe. An Air India Express flight from Hyderabad to Phuket made a hard landing at the Phuket International Airport on Wednesday, damaging its nose landing gear and temporarily closing the airport runway. Flight AXB 938, operated by a Boeing 737-800, registration VT-BWQ, had 7 crew members, 131 passengers and 2 infants on board. The plane landed at around 11:40 a.m., slightly earlier than scheduled. All passengers and crew disembarked safely with no injuries reported. Preliminary checks revealed that the hard landing caused damage to the aircraft's nose wheel, preventing it from moving off the runway immediately. Authorities issued a NOTAM from 8:12 noon to 6 p.m., temporarily closing the airport's only runway. And as a result, incoming flights were diverted to nearby airports, including Krabi and Surat Thani, while others were placed in holding patterns, causing expected delays into the evening. An Air India Express spokesperson said, and I quote, "The Hyderabad-Phuket flight experienced an issue with the nose wheel. The crew followed all the standard protocols and passengers were safely deplaned. We thank the Phuket Airport authorities and all stakeholders for their cooperation." Unquote. Now, the airline has informed the DGCA and an investigation into the incident is now underway. And to discuss this further, I'm joined by Squadron Leader Akshay Chopra, who's an aviation expert and former IAF pilot. Thank you, Mr. Chopra, for taking your time and joining me over here. Sorry I had to cut short earlier, but this is an issue that we here at News 9 are keeping a close track of. Now, Mr. Chopra, tell us about how often an occurrence is this hard landing that we are looking at on our screens right now. A hard landing where the landing nose gear gets damaged to the extent that the runway gets scraped off, the runway has to be completely shut, the flights are diverted, and fortunately, all passengers disembarked safely. But this could have been dangerous, this could have been fatal.
First of all, thank you for having me. Let me give you an example. When you're standing on, let's say you're playing cricket and you have a fast leather ball coming to you. So, why that leather ball hits your hand very hard is because of two things. One is the velocity, and another is the mass. So it's the overall momentum. Same happens with the aircraft. When the aircraft is landing, it is the most critical stage of that flight. And at that particular time, why landing gear is made so strong is because the mass and velocity both are very high in case of the landing aircraft. And the landing gear is capable of taking 2 to 3 times the landing force. However, hard landing is when the particular force exceeds the limit of that landing gear. Now, in normal landings, around 1.5 to 2 G, that is around 120 to 240 feet per minute of descent rate is acceptable. And if this descent rate exceeds around 600 feet per minute, that is the time we call it hard landing. Though the aircraft landing gear is capable of tolerating that much pressure, but then in a lot of cases, this may exceed over 3G or over 6 to 700 feet per minute of descent rate. At that particular time, the structural damage is very well possible. Now the question is, why does this happen? Is this common? Yes, there have been previous incidents in India itself in a lot of airlines. So we had a similar incident in the Air India Express 737-800 again on 7th August 2020 during when the aircraft landing on Calicut International Airport. Similarly, in 2025, there was another landing gear wheel detachment in SpiceJet Bombardier. So there have been such cases. But thankfully, this was not fatal, because in such cases, the aircraft, can go off the ground and it's all fueled, and it can cause very serious injuries. And when it comes to why this particular thing happens, so generally the hard landing is number one is due to the high descent rate. So when you're descending on the finals, if the descent rate is fast, as I said, over 6 to 700 feet per minute, then during touchdown, this problem can happen. Also, during landing, if there is a wind shear, the wind flow is too high, the aircraft may go down suddenly, or there is a microburst or something. In that case also, it can happen. In a lot of cases, the pilot has an unstable approach, which is the most probable cause. Around 66% of hard landings which occur is because of this reason. The pilot is making, the approach which the pilot is making is unstable, the speed is high, the glide path is higher, and he tries to push the aircraft down just to make sure that the landing is done. So in those cases, it can happen.
Well, Mr. Chopra, that was a masterclass on the science behind it. But I want to understand whether at all preliminary checks of the aircraft would have determined the fitness of the aircraft. Could this have been avoided is the moot question here.
So I'll give you a bit blunt answer here. The answer is may not be. So it's
Okay.
not the pilot here. We have to check, because once the investigation is done, we'll come to know whether it's the pilot error or something else. But then the aircraft is fit enough, because before the aircrafts take off, all the checks are done properly, and also it's on the ground checks also, where the engineers check it. The pilots are also checking the aircraft, and during the flight also, these aircrafts are quite modern aircraft. In case there is a problem with the landing gear, the indication is already shown on the screen. Just like you have the latest cars, where if there is any problem in the car, it's already there on the screen that, this is the issue. However, there was no such thing. But in most cases, as we have expected, it is the hard landing because of which this has happened. Thanks to the pilot, that he was able to control the aircraft and not, go off the runway, or the further damage. The passengers are actually safe.
What you're telling us, Mr. Chopra, is very informative. You're telling us that the landing gear can bear the landing force multiple times its impact. It could be 2 times or 3 times. You're also telling us that what really matters as far as hard landing is concerned, that the fast descent rate is concerned. Then who is to be responsible for the hard descent rate? Could this be a manual issue, or is this a
Yeah.
technical issue?
So as I said, as the investigation will be done, we'll come to know exactly what was the reason behind it. But as the statistics show, that around 66% and more of such incidents is due to improper descent. I mean, the unstable approach. And this is generally due to the pilot error, where the pilot is not making this. Now, as I said, that when an unstable approach is there, then either the speed is too high or low, or the glide path is wrong, or the descent rate is too fast. So this we will come to know once the investigation is out. But then there can be other issues also, maybe a wind shear or something. Again, nothing can be just said. These are all possible reasons due to which such incident happens.
We are looking at the runway being shut down. The flights have been diverted to the nearby airports, Mr. Chopra. But I was talking to the other aviation expert also earlier, Mr. Sahai, and who said this becomes a costly episode for the authorities. The aircraft has to be fixed, the runway has to be fixed. Have we seen such hard landings earlier?
As I said, yes, we have seen such hard landings earlier. In India itself, there have been multiple cases before. And in almost a lot of cases, it had been fatal. A lot of people have died in those crashes. As I said, thankfully, this was averted in this particular case. And yes, it's a very costly affair, because once the aircraft, any such incident happens, the runway is now jammed, and it's jammed for quite a long period of time. Till the time now the engineers come in, and the replacement is done, or somehow the aircraft is towed back to a safer location, maybe to the taxiway or to the parking lot. Till that time, the runway won't be open. So that is also delaying the flights all over the world who are coming to Phuket. And also now the engineers have to be flown in from India. They have to set this thing up, get the aircraft ready to fly back again. And for that, again, you will have a lot of checks and procedures. It's a very long procedure, where flight safety checks will be done on ground, and then there'll be test flights done by flying pilots before the aircraft is formally ready and given a nod to now go back, land back to India.